Everyone is in debt, but no one talks about who the creditor is. Today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Who is the debt owed to? Nearly every country in the world is drowning in debt. The United States today carries more than $38 trillion in debt, the highest level it has ever reached. The European Union holds roughly $14 trillion, while Japan bears a burden close to $9 trillion. Even countries known for oil wealth, even export powerhouses like Germany and China, face massive debt figures. But here's a simple question, and it's the one that complicates everything. If everyone is in debt, who is the creditor? This is the domain of financial history, the place where money, power, and the past intersect. And in this realm, nothing is ever as simple as it first appears. Debt is not merely a burden. It is, in fact, the structural skeleton of the modern world. Wars, crises, booms, and collapses have all been built atop this invisible web of promises. And if you follow the chain of debt long enough, you arrive at an unsettling conclusion. The world does not owe money to any particular entity. It owes it to itself. But that does not mean everyone benefits equally. To understand how we arrived at this point, we have to go backward, because total global debt has now exceeded $315 trillion, nearly 3 times the size of the world economy. And this story begins long before credit cards or digital currencies. The idea of national debt was not born on Wall Street, but on the battlefield. In 1694, England was at war with France and running out of gold. The king turned to merchants for help. What did he offer in return? A permanent stream of interest payments guaranteed by future taxes. To manage this arrangement, a new institution was created, the Bank of England. This marked a fundamental break from the past. The state could now spend money it did not yet possess, and lenders received something extraordinarily valuable: the government's promise. A promise that could be bought, sold, and traded. This is how government bonds were born. This is where modern finance took root. France adopted the model. The Netherlands refined it. The United States used it to finance its war of independence and its westward expansion. Over time, national debt ceased to be a sign of weakness and became a signal of credibility. The ability to borrow became the ability to rule. Empires once conquered land to extract gold. Now they issued bonds to extract interest. The battlefield was replaced by the balance sheet. 3 centuries later, debt has become the world's largest product. US debt stands at $38 trillion. Japan's exceeds $9 trillion. Global borrowing increases by roughly $1 trillion every 100 days. Everyone owes. Banks lend. Citizens, through taxes, savings, and pension funds, exist simultaneously as both debtors and creditors. So, who is holding the other end of the rope? Let's begin with the United States, because its debt is not merely national. It is global. Roughly half of the $38 trillion is publicly held, meaning it is owed to investors. About 2/3 of those investors are American. Banks, pension funds, mutual funds, insurance companies, and the Federal Reserve. The remaining approximately $9 trillion is held by foreign entities. Japan holds the largest share, followed by China, the United Kingdom, and major European financial centers. So when people say the US is indebted to China, that isn't entirely wrong, but it represents only a small slice of the truth. The majority of American debt belongs to its own system. The Treasury issues bonds. Funds purchase them. The central bank steps in. Interest paid through taxes flows back into retirement accounts. It is a closed loop. The debt is real, but the creditor is often the system itself, and this dynamic is not unique to the United States. Japan lends to the US finances Europe through the IMF. Europe extends credit to developing nations. Developing nations then recycle their reserves into Western bonds, feeding the system back upward. This is a global chain of promises. Everyone holds someone else's IOU. Every commitment rests on another. Imagine a poker table where each player has borrowed chips from the next. The game continues as long as no one stands up. But there is another layer, the least visible and the most powerful of all: the markets. Behind government bonds lies a vast network of institutions: pension funds, hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, and central banks. They determine who borrows cheaply and who pays a premium to survive. When confidence breaks, currencies collapse, governments fall, and economies can be rewritten overnight. Democracy chooses leaders. Markets choose survivors. At the center of this system sit central banks. They do not merely manage debt, they create it. When they purchase bonds, they generate new money. A liability on one balance sheet becomes an asset on another. Every unit of currency in circulation reflects a debt somewhere else. There is no debt-free money. This arrangement endured for decades on trust, as long as investors believed interest would be paid, even if principal never was. The system functioned. But what happens when trust breaks? We have seen it in Greece, in Argentina, in Sri Lanka. Bailouts arrived, but the cost was borne by the public, and yet the system restarted every time. New debts replaced old ones. Because in the modern world, debt is not designed to be eliminated, but to be rolled over. Governments do not plan to erase their debt. This is not a secret. It is an open reality. Debt is a perpetually renewed contract. Interest is the price of that contract. When confidence breaks, currencies collapse, governments fall, and economies can be rewritten overnight. Democracy chooses leaders. Markets choose survivors. At the center of this system sit central banks. The United States will never fully repay its debt. Japan has rolled its obligations for decades. Investors are not waiting for repayment. They are waiting for continuation. Because government debt is the safest asset in the system, collateral for banks, a safe haven for funds, money-like instruments for central banks. If debt were fully repaid, the system would collapse. The trusted asset would disappear. That is why debt grows rhythmically, like the heartbeat of capitalism itself. When politicians speak of eliminating debt, they sell an illusion. The goal is not to destroy debt, but to preserve belief in it. Because this system does not run on numbers, it runs on trust, and trust is not distributed evenly. Interest flows upward. Debt transfers wealth not only between nations, but between classes. That is why rising debt and rising inequality move together. And eventually the question becomes personal. If this cycle stops one day, who pays the price? There is no single villain at the top of this system. Not China, not Wall Street, not the IMF. All of them. And us. Today, debt does not mean bondage. It means balance. But if that balance breaks, we will remember what debt truly is. A promise that cannot be kept forever. If this story shifted the way you see the world, consider subscribing and exploring the other videos on the channel.